Okay, everybody, welcome to the Javier Mendez podcast. This is the post-fight reaction discussion of UFC 249 this weekend. And we've got Coach Javier Mendez looking wonderful. What did you think about the fights in general, but we'll get more specific, Jav, overall?
Um, well, I didn't know what I was going to think about the fights. I've seen only the one from Brazil with no audience there. And, there's a lot of good pluses on this one that you can't have with the full crowd. And that's you can hear all the punches. You can hear all the talking that's going on between corners and announcers. There's a lot of pluses and minuses, but overall, I think it was a great experience.
Yeah, I mean, it was funny. I heard halfway through DC and Rogan going back and forth that one or two of the fighters were accidentally getting coached by DC indirectly by his opinions because it was so loud that they could hear him in the cage. I think it was the ex-football player. He was talking about correcting a move or something.
Yeah, Greg Hardy. He was talking about leg checking. The big guys don't leg check, and he heard him, and the corner heard him. Somebody heard him, and they told him about leg checking through DC, and it actually was that's what changed the whole fight. De Castro stopped kicking once he leg checked, and he hit the upper part of where right below the kneecap, and that's the worst part to hit when you get leg checked because you can almost a lot of people break their shins on that part of the bone. And Anderson Silva was one to name that broke his shin bone on there with Chris Weidman. And there was another guy with the tough show that was really tall and lanky. He broke his shin bone too on a leg check like that. So it's the worst place to hit. If you leg check, the worst place to hit is that upper part right below kneecap.
Well, there's a bunch of guys that don't leg check that much. I think the Diaz brothers would stick out on that. And we saw some of that with Tony on this fight. His shins were all busted up because it looked like, Justin Gaethje was checking the heck out of his kicks.
No, I think it was more because Tony was kicking into his shins. The thing what Tony wasn't doing was leg checking. He wasn't leg checking. So the damage was done because Tony was kicking purposely, recklessly, and that's what he does because he's got incredible hard shins. You watch him kick the steel beams, not the beams, the poles. Tony's kicking the crap out of those poles. So trust me, it's not hurting them. His shins are well conditioned. It's just, he was kicking with reckless abandon, and the thing is, it wasn't really getting Justin in the right areas. But Tony did that to himself. It wasn't like Justin did it to him. What Justin did was connected with a lot of good leg kicks on the outside of the leg, a lot of them, and that was basically Tony's lack of wanting to leg check, or he couldn't leg check. I don't know which one it is. He just he let him hit him, So I'll just leave it at that.
Well, they were saying that Justin usually launches those from punching distance as opposed to a further out leg kick. So that makes his style, I don't know, I guess that's unique to what he does. I don't know. I mean, you tell me what you think about that.
Well, usually it's best to punch than leg kick, and that's what Justin was doing. That's the right way to do it. You don't go from leg kicking to punching. You go punch to leg kick, and he did that perfectly. So, the bottom line is that Justin was just on the money with the majority of his stuff, and Tony, I don't know, Tony didn't appear to be Tony.
You talked about this beforehand. You said, man, that weight cut that he just did just to prove a point, he's gonna pay for that. You basically said that one of our podcasts or one of the discussions you and I had, and other people seem to be mirroring that opinion. At least Dana did, today in the news.
Well, I mean, it's only logical, right? I mean, God, that's an incredible thing he did, losing weight and then have to regain it only to lose it again. That really messes up your body. And who knows? I mean, only Tony knows better than we do. All I know is that it didn't appear to be him at his best. It did not, in my opinion. He still threw a great fight, and Justin still did a great fight, but there was something off about Tony, and I don't know if it's related to the weight cut at all. It may not be at all, and it may be nothing. Tony may go, screw you guys. I was at my best. I did what I could. It just wasn't my night. I don't know. Or he may say, yeah, the weight cut messed me up. I don't know. I know one thing. To me, it seemed off.
Well, I was kind of counting, people asked me who I was going to pick, and I put it out there. I said Gaethje. I had a feeling that, Tony's been caught before, but the relentlessness and the weight of the hammers and the kicks that, Gaethje lays down. Now, you had incredible cardio, which is the infinite, let's say it's infinite cardio. That's great. You're the greatest runner until somebody beats your legs into submission. Then those running legs, no matter how great your lung capacity is, don't mean too much.
Yeah, but I think it was a lot of not just the leg beating, it's the head beating. I mean, Justin hit that guy with so many shots. Oh my gosh, Tony took him too. I couldn't believe it. I mean, you saw him do the dance with the few of those shots he hit him with. I mean, Justin kept hitting him over and over with repeated shots. I mean, any other person, any other champion would have been out before this happened. It wasn't until the very, very end that it was at the right time that Herb stopped the fight. I mean, it was at the right time when he was taking a little too many shots where realistically, I don't know how much of a chance he really had at that point, but before that, when he was taking shots, he was still very dangerous. At the very end there, it didn't appear that he was as dangerous. So I think that Herb did the right call by stopping it. Although I would think that Tony, being the great warrior that he is, would have wanted to be stopped, like all great fighters do. They don't want to be stopped like that. They want to, you stop me.
Yeah, go down on their spear, go down on their shield.
Pretty much, but that's not necessarily the best way for them, to make a good comeback if they get their, brain cells rearranged a little bit, So I would say it was probably the right call, because his mind wouldn't quit, but his body was quitting, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think Justin showed some, adjustments. He basically didn't wade in when, it's like, oh, looks like I got Tony stunned. And that's when people usually used to jump on him and they'd get a, flying back elbow or something to the face, or, a darce out of nowhere, like they'd wade into that territory. He'd get him punished enough where he's wobbling, and then he'd take his time and make sure he was not jumping into that. I noticed
that had a lot to do with the great corner, though. You got to understand that. I mean, his corner specifically told him, don't get carried away. Remember what happened to you the last 2 times you tried that. So he had a great corner, and a great coach telling him what to do. And that's why he didn't fall traps into that, because you don't know. He might have. Look what happened in the second round. He got hit with that uppercut, 10 seconds or whatever left. Hey, he got damaged there. So if more of those would have landed, who knows what we'd be talking about? It might be a whole different ballgame. All it takes is one shot, a good shot, to put your right out of the loop. And hey, man, the shot came from Gaethje over and over again, and Tony just basically got one good shot. That's it. He didn't really get anything else that was really damaging. You could tell nothing was really bothering Justin except that one shot.
What do you think going forward for Tony? I mean, basically, a fight like this usually takes a percentage out of a lot of fighters. They don't necessarily jump back on the horse and come back twice as dynamic when you go through a battle like that. That's just something
I've seen guys come stronger, and I've seen guys not come the same. So we can't make any assumptions on he'll never be the same. I hear that all the time. We'll see. Let's see what happens. But I've seen fighters come back stronger than their last performance. And like I said originally, I thought Tony was off. So that, to me, that wasn't the best I've seen of him. So I don't know. I mean, I could be wrong too. Like I said, he could say he was 100% the best he's ever been, and he gave it a great performance. So I know it just seemed off to me. But maybe, that's in my head too, because I'm thinking, well, he had that nasty weight cut and then another weight cut again right to back. So I don't know. I don't know the answer. I just know what I thought, and it might very well be enhanced by the fact that I knew he cut weight.
Well, I was watching him on Unbedded, and he looked healthy. He looked full of energy. He looked enthusiastic. He didn't look like he was lackluster. I thought, man, he's coming in strong. Oof,
but when you're looking at somebody talking after they've had food in them and this and that's a whole different ball game than when you watch them active do things. Okay, it's not the same. Mm-hmm. You can say what you're saying, and a person can sit down and he'll seem like so cool, so relaxed, this and that. But then when you watch him do something, you watch him do some movements. That's the telltale right there. It's not we look relaxed, we look comfortable. No. The telltale is, how is he moving? Is he moving smoothly? Is he as smooth as he normally is? Is he strong as he normally is? And I don't know the answer to that, but that would I could be able to tell you by that, not based on anything else.
So body mechanics that's a tell to a coach. I didn't know this. So I'm learning. This is the fun part about doing the
Oh,
podcast.
it's the body mechanics. It isn't like, he just doesn't feel the same. He doesn't move the same. It just doesn't feel the same. But sitting down and relaxing and doing interviews, what does that mean? That don't mean shit. That don't mean shit, because you don't know what the stage he's at, where he replenished himself, where he just got through the workout, or we didn't get a workout, or we hadn't worked out in 6 hours, and he's eating healthy and staying healthy, rehydrated. You don't know that. You don't know any of that. So to me, it's hard to tell on that.
So, I mean, in a way, I know you always wanted the fight for Khabib with Tony, but at the same time, the curse of the fight, I mean, that's just been a stickler in your side. You've trained Khabib for so many camps to show up, and either something would happen to him or Khabib, and like something was always in the way. But now that that's out of there, I'm sure you feel, I guess, a sense of relief, even though you would want to see that match.
Well, this is the thing. I definitely thought this damn fight was jinxed, and I definitely was pulling for Justin because of that reason and that reason only. But I wasn't confident that Justin would win. I thought Tony would win, and I thought we'd be fighting Tony again. But I honestly think that we'll be seeing Tony again real soon, because I don't think it's going to take more than one fight to him get back to the drawing board. Then all he needs to do is fight a top contender, and Tony will be right back in line. So don't be surprised if Khabib and Tony are fighting in the new year. But we got to get by Justin, of course. But once that happens, then don't be surprised if Tony's back in the picture after one fight.
Stylistically, if you had to pick between the two, if you were matchmaking for Khabib, which one would you pick first?
They both have their different sets of things. I don't, stylistically, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
No, not for me on those two. They're both tough as shit. They're both great fighters. You just prepare different for them. It's not the same. But the objective goal is always going to be take these guys down. And there's no secret in what Khabib's going to do and what my plan, his father's plan. So it's always going to be that route. And the day I find I need to change it is the day I see somebody in that 155-pound division that can deal with his ground game. And I'm sorry, right now at the present time, there is nobody that can deal with his ground game. So, father's plan.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. What did you think about Ngannou's incredible explosiveness in that fight? I thought Rosenstrike was going to be technical, but I don't think that matters much once Ngannou hits the turbochargers and just comes at you.
Man, Ngannou, what a raw power that guy has. It's like he just went for it. It's like he was getting out kickbox. You can see the Rosenstrike was out striking him, and that's what I thought. I actually predicted that the Ngannou would lose. Boy, was I wrong.
Me too.
One shot, boom. I thought for sure that the kickboxing and I look at Ngannou of old, and I thought he was gonna not necessarily come in and like he did, but he went balls coming to the wall, said screw you, you're taking me or I'm taking you, and man, he's got some devastating power, as you could tell. Look at the way he was wild and missing, but all it took is one shot. And very impressive. Very, very impressive. It's just kind of cool to see such a quiet guy deliver such enormous power. And then it goes back to quiet guy.
Yeah, I just for the curiosity's sake, I thought, what would it look like if the other guy won? I have nothing against Ngannou. I think he's amazing. I'm not jumping on the bandwagon after the fact, but we're like, well, I've both seen both of these guys knock out a lot of people.
Yeah.
But Rosenstrike took longer his last match. He was losing, but he closed it out in the 5th round or something.
Yeah, and the thing is, we don't know what's going to happen with him. We know Ngannou's next. If I believe the UFC, they do not get Daniel and Stipe to fight, I believe it's going to be Daniel and Ngannou for the title. Because if you heard Dana's comments, you got to get on board. If not, the train's moving. Those weren't his words, but that's what more or less he's saying. So in other words, what he's saying is if Stipe can't find time to train, then it's time to give up the train, and wait to get on the train later, because they're not stopping for him. That's apparently what I gathered from what he said. So I'm assuming it's either going to be DC and Stipe or Ngannou and Stipe. I mean, Ngannou and DC for the title. And expect that to be announced soon. One way or another, it's going to be one of those. And if it's not Ngannou this time, it'll be Ngannou against the winner of DC and Stipe. And if Stipe happens to lose, which was what I'm hoping for, of course, then Ngannou will have to fight a brand new guy because DC's done.
Yeah. Ngannou is just so impressive. So impressive. It's like unlimited power versus all the cool techniques in the world. That seems
Yeah.
to be whoever he's up against. What other fights impressed you on the card? Did you see Qatar fighting
Well,
there?
I was impressed with Henry Cejudo, how he adjusts, how he came out there. He had a game plan. He was ripping his legs apart, Dominic's legs, to stop the movement because he moves so much. So he went and ripped the legs apart, and and then what a warrior he was. He gets cut, he goes out there and just more ferocious, comes in, hits him with the knee, and horrible stoppage by the ref, in my opinion, because he wasn't getting hit. He was coming up. There were shots that looked like they were landing, but they weren't really landing. He wasn't hurt. But the bottom line is Dominic was getting up. He was getting up. That was an error on the ref's part. Bad decision, in my opinion. It was a bad stoppage. But it happens. It happens. He got hit with a good knee, but he was on his way up. And all the shots he was hitting on the bottom, the ref couldn't see, but we could see they weren't landing. They weren't landing super clean. That's why he was able to get up. His head wasn't being rocked. So I think the ref kind of screwed up on that one, but it's a rough call to put a ref in that kind of a position, So, unlike the Tony scenario, I think the ref did a great call on that one. So you got one guy doing a great call, and you got another guy. You should have let it go, But hey, I'm not a ref. I've been in situations where I'm in the cage and watching these guys go for it. It's tough. It's tough. Put yourself in their situation. It is not easy. Should I jump? Should I not jump? I mean, man, it's a tough call. So, yeah, I like that. And then, of course, I think personally, Henry is, playing that I retired. I've done everything I need to do. And I'm thinking, no, he hasn't done everything he needs to do, because the one thing he hasn't done is made the kind of money that he wants. So that's what's missing, is the money, not accomplishment. So I think he's after the money. And if the UFC is not willing to open up the pocketbook and the paychecks for him, I think he will stay retired. And that's the way he is. He moves on. I remember Henry coming over because he was good friends with Cain Velasquez. Right after he won the Olympic gold medal, he came to our gym a little bit to try out to see if he was going to do MMA. And he didn't quite like it at that particular time. So he said, hey, Hob, I'm going to go do seminars and this and that. So that's what he did. And then after the seminar thing, he came back to the fighting thing. I mean, so this kid, he is 100% capable of leaving the sport because he's done it so many times before, and he'll do it again. But if the money's right, if the people want him, and there's enough attention to, we want Henry Cejudo fighting, where we want to see that match, and the UFC feels there's good money in it for them and Henry, then Henry will get his bump in pay, and they'll keep him. Till then, I don't know. I think they'll just move on with other divisions.
Yeah, that's going to be what it's going to be. I mean, he walks out, retires on top. But I mean, you've been around this so long as a coach, and you've been around this years, decades. So when a lot of these guys think they're going to quit, and it's just something that calls you back, and it calls you back. The fight game.
I believe, I don't know Henry that well. I do know him, but I don't know him that well. But I believe, based on his history, if he doesn't get higher the money he wants, he's done. He'll move on to something else, and he'll be great at whatever he was gonna want to do, because that's just the way the kid is. He takes all challenges, and he exceeds expectations. So whatever Henry decides to do, expect him to exceed expectations.
What did you think about the Cowboy fight?
The Cowboy fight was a good fight. It wasn't a great fight, but it was a good fight. It was a better showing for Cowboy than it was with the Conor show. He appeared to be in this fight more. I thought it was a really close fight. So giving it to Pettis, okay, but if they would have given it the other way around, I might have been okay with that too. It was a close fight.
And then another one, this kid's really showing up as Calvin Kattar. I think he had a really good battle against Zabit before, and now he fought this other gentleman. I was just looking at it a second ago. Stevens, yeah. Now, he looked like he was doing great. His boxing was very on point. I was really impressed with him.
No, just in my opinion, I think he's got the best boxing in all MMA. He's the better. He's the best boxing stylist, technique wise and everything that I've seen in all MMA. So we'll leave it at that. He's got the best boxing. And he's good everywhere. He's getting better at kicking too. So he's got a great MMA game all the way around. So when he fought Zabit, he started late. Zabit started fading late because everybody knows that surrounds Zabit know that Zabit is great at the beginning and kind of fades a little bit at the end. So that's the word on him. But they also know that the Qatar, he starts a little late, finishes strong. Well, it's kind of one of those situations there. So we'll see, because he started a little bit faster on this one than he normally does. We'll see what he does in the next fight, but I think he's probably going to get top 5 guy. I would think that's what probably they're going to try to put him in with. I would want to do that with him if I'm a UFC. I'd put him in a top 5 type of an opponent to, give him a shot, because he deserves it.
Yeah, I saw a lot of other good fights. Those are the ones that stick out the most.